Hey, and welcome back everybody to the channel, and welcome to another episode of Chad's Perspectives. I really do enjoy doing these, and if you looked at the thumbnail, I do believe I put it in the thumbnail. This one is going to be all about Chase, and I'm really looking forward to this. So I'm going to let my co-star do her thing, and we'll jump right into it.
Welcome back to my dad's channel. If you're new here, make sure to click that like button and subscribe, and don't forget to share.
So first things first, and I've actually said things like this before, so we're going to jump right into the first perspective. And if I've repeated this, hey, look, my bad, but this is Chase. And let's just keep it real. I'm going to commit some credit card blasphemy here and say, you don't have to start with Chase. And seriously, you really don't. Now, I know you guys have your fingers on the trigger, just ready to hit that thumbs down button and just really reaffirm to yourself, this is why he will never be as big as he thinks he should be, or other people think he should be, but it doesn't matter. I stand on business where that is concerned. You do not have to start with Chase. I didn't start with Chase, and look at me. 2 eyes, 2 ears, I got 10 toes, I got all 10 of the digits on my hands, and no malformities, and they're even, my arms are the same length. And look, nothing happened. No lightning has struck me. It's okay. You don't have to start with Chase. I started with American Express. I actually had Chase cards before I realized that there was this aura surrounding them, meaning that if you were a beginner, like, you were not really of sound mind and body if you didn't start with them, but that was the case with me. I will give you a quick trip down memory lane. I actually had a Chase Freedom Unlimited when it first came out. They were so happy to give them away. I got one in branch while I was just, running around running errands with my daughter. Didn't know what I had. I've had it since 2012. Then my next Chase card didn't come until years and years and years and years and years and years and years later, when I just happened to get one for the Amazon Prime gifts that I was getting from my wife. And that was literally right as I was getting into the game. And I literally have not gotten another Chase card until my business cards, but we will get into those later. But the fact is, the cards that I really started with were American Express cards. For the longest time, for years, all I had was a Chase Freedom Unlimited, a Discover, a Capital One, and a Amex Sky Miles Blue card. I literally weathered some of the most horrible multipliers in what is arguably American Express's worst card, period, for anybody ever. And I had that for years because I just didn't know what I didn't know. But one thing I also didn't know that I do know, that I did know, but it's okay that I didn't know, but I know now, is that you don't have to start with Chase. I think I got that right. I hope I got that right. I'm sure someone's counting, and you'll correct me in the comments. So, no need to keep you in suspense. Here is yet another perspective. The 524 rule, and I've actually commented this on other videos here. I have also alluded to it, causing an inflated sense of scarcity. But the fact of the matter is, the 524 rule is like an electric fence. Until you put the shock collar on, it has absolutely no effect on you. Period. This ties into my first perspective. The 524 rule. So what? And going into the rest of the perspective, here's another thing I'm going to add to it. No one knows how to beat the 524 rule, just like no one knows how to beat pop-up jail. Now, I know, I get it. More popular people than me have done it, and they must have a system, and there has to be a hard and fast system out there. Unfortunately, there isn't. It is mainly luck, and also just a bit of business. Because I can't claim to be, the guru of beating the 524 rule, even though I have. It was just luck. People have beaten pop-up jail. It was just luck, because it all boils down to the fact that these banks are not here to do us any favors whatsoever. If a bank gave you $1 million one day, it's because they at least think that they're going to get $1,000,001 back. There is no such thing as charity where banks are concerned. Listen to me. Listen to your Godfather. I promise you, they don't care about you. So you see a lot of these videos, so you may exist in a aggregate subset where they may need to shore up business with new credit lines. Now, I'm sure you're probably asking yourself, because this is a place of discerning credit card enthusiasts, Well, Chad, why would they need to shore up business by literally handing out debt vehicles, which are potential liabilities? And even if the people use it, they are still, debt vehicles. Well, yeah, they still get interest income, they still get interchange fees because that's still a thing. Those haven't been limited down to where people want them to be yet, or at least it is still in flux, so they still have enormous money making opportunities where interchange fees are concerned. So you don't have to carry a balance. Trust me, they make money every time you do something with this card. I've covered that before. So the 524 rule only has the kind of power that you have over it. Another thing is with the 524 rule being an internal control, they can mix and move that rule any way they see fit. For a long time, they weren't observing it. Now they are. Don't think that these companies are not watching people like me, people like you, or any of my other fellow creators that may or may not peruse this video from time to time. They know that we know, and they're okay with observing it. But remember, it's still an internal control. No one can beat it. There's no way to know how to beat it. But if you simply don't participate, it won't have any power over you. So, okay, here's a question. About me beating the 524 rule, I've made videos about it, and yes, there are some people, like myself, like Luke, like Anthony the Ink. He's out there killing it with the ink cards, getting them back to back. Seems like he's got this thing locked in. But that's kind of like Sledge with his 11D7 Amex cards that no one else can seem to get. If you fall into that aggregate subset, it may work out for you. But I can tell you, because I am very transparent, that outside of ink cards, I've never been approved for another chase card since. Now, I've also talked to Key of Kiki's Adventures, and she has told me personally, well, if you apply for co-branded cards, they are more forgiving with the 524 rule, and that has not worked out for me either. And she has 50 fulfillion cards. That's a new number.
You know I had to bring out the stack of cards. Chad, what are your thoughts?
It's real, and it's heavy.
And has had 7011 gabillion cards. That's Key. That's what she does. Shout out to Key. But that's the whole thing. The fact that it is so malleable and it just changes and fluxes, just understand you may fall into a subset where it may be advantageous for them to give you a card that even flies in the face of their own rules. So please do not buy into the hype of 524. I get it. You're a beginner. Guarding your 524 status. Every video has to say that. Every video has to let you know that luckily I'll be 424 in like 17 months, so then I'll get like a Marriott card so I can get the Ritz-Carlton and never go to a Sapphire Lounge, but you guys will click my referral and I will still win, and so on and so forth. We pretty much all know how the script goes, but that is my perspective on the 524 rules. A little bit here and a little bit there, but the fact is that it's not that serious. It really isn't. And while I do care for beginners, understand that's just what it is. So as a setup going into this perspective, let's go ahead and liken the credit card game where Chase is concerned to basketball. You have different levels. There's levels to it. There's Olympic basketball. You play on the world stage. There's professional NBA. That is domestic United States basketball, the most powerful organization where basketball is concerned in the world. Then you have college ball, high school ball, and then you have the ever-present pickup games. I used to play a lot of pickup ball. You go out, you go do a little something, you sweat a little bit. Nobody, somebody's gonna take a shot with their foot on the line. You're gonna get into an argument, play a little no blood, no foul. It is what it is. Everyone goes home and then goes back to their normal life because nobody's getting a contract. Well, some people play the credit card game in that fashion as well. They're not super optimizers like us, and I would like to see more people get into it to shore up the points, and so that they would have to compete and make things better, but que sera, sera. So with that set up, going into the next perspective is, what would you guys do? And I'm talking to my fellow creators. I'm talking to people who hang on the words of myself and other creators, because everything that applies to them applies to me. What if Chase and Hyatt went their separate ways? what would you do? How then does anybody mention Chase without mentioning Hyatt? It's literally like being told that you have to make an Amex video about the Platinum card without mentioning Uber or lounge access. Global lounge access benefit.
Lounge access.
Lounge access.
Access to lounges.
Lounge access.
Nightclub access.
Access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection.
Great lounge access.
You see how silly that is? So that's my question, my perspective. How then would the game change if Chase and Hyatt were to sever their bond? The fact is, as I can tell you right now, most people stay at Hyatt just because they're associated with Chase. Chase cards do actually earn Hyatt points, I do believe, on average, much better than the Hyatt cards do, because if you've noticed the trend with Chase, the co-branded cards are not very good earners at all. They get to the status that they do because of the popularity of the brands behind them. But if Hyatt and Chase split, can anyone name me another hotel transfer partner? Now, for any new kids that have just walked into the conversation, understand that the thing that makes Hyatt a great value and why I don't knock people for mentioning Hyatt is that with their points redemptions, they still have a redemption calendar, whereas literally almost every other hotel carrier has gone to dynamic pricing. So you actually tend to get better points value. But the only problem is where footprints are concerned. They are my 3-year-old's footprints, where IHG would be my 10-year-old's footprints, with Hilton being my wife's footprints, and Marriott, and that's Marriott like Chariot, finally being my footprints. And if you've met me, I got big feet. So it is what it is. You get better value. You got to deal with the smaller footprint. People will go out of their way just to satisfy their lust for Hyatt to see what they can do. No knock in there, but what happens when the world crashes and Chase and Hyatt no longer like each other? It happened out in Vegas with MGM and Hyatt. You never know exactly what's gonna take place one day. Like, look, just made a video that I just released about cards that I would use in place of my Amex cards, and one of those cards, the Capital One Saver, has since been discontinued. So that didn't age well, but that is something to think about. What would you do? How would videos get made? How would people make money? Who knows? I wonder, would any of you still stay at a Hyatt? Because I gotta tell you, one of the nicest hotels I've ever been to is a Hyatt. That is a Park Hyatt, New York. Video right here. So you've listened to my editorial and my ramblings and my musings about Chase and the condition of the world should, a couple of things happen. Now it's time for the YouTube perspective, and I have to say I've been told that people really like these. So this is actually kind of a special YouTube perspective that I'm going to put forward. So just go with me here. In my YouTube perspective, I have one question. What the hell happened to Chandler Vernon? Where is that guy? I mean, it's like all of a sudden fell off the face of the earth, stopped at around 500 subscribers, hasn't made a video since. Now, before I go directly into the perspective as far as, my assumptions, I hope he's physically okay. If any of you know him, tell him that someone has actually asked about him. Now, if you're not familiar with Chandler Vernon, he was a small channel who got into a bit of a kerfuffle with, I would say, somewhat of a larger channel, and it didn't go well for him. He's literally not made a video since, hasn't published anything. Maybe, who knows? Sometimes people lose interest in YouTube. I have on numerous occasions. There have been many times where I've had to drag myself and literally think of everything possible in order to sit in front of this camera, because sometimes life just happens. I get it. I totally understand, but the kid was doing some stuff, and I hope that, he didn't have his literal soul crushed by what happened. And if you're not aware of what happened, you can check out this video here, because I actually had a few comments on exactly how that went down. And just so you know, I do mention names. It was between him and Brian Young, or I don't know how to say his name, but he makes money saying stuff about money that I say as well, but a lot more people listen to him, and he kind of smothered Chandler's channel, you know, whether it was on purpose or inadvertent, whatever. Either way, it was really crazy. It all went down after the creator meetup in Las Vegas. And frankly, that's my YouTube perspective. What happened to this YouTube creator? I think maybe some of you might want to go ahead and have a look. I'll even link his channel. It's going to be in the description here, and you'll see my video concerning whatever it is they got going on. So with that being said, that is pretty much it. That's my YouTube perspective. That's kind of wild and crazy. I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. It's just some things that were on my mind. I figured, why not make it a perspective video? Ask these questions. Let's get the creative thought juices flowing. Do a little thought experiment here. So with that, there's no reason for me to hold you up because you thought I was going to forget to do the pointy thing, but I'm actually doing the pointy thing. Uh-oh, and the cross pointy thing. But remember, I record these things from hotel rooms. You hear no AC? That means I'm cooking under these lights. So you guys take it easy.